Every NBA championship matters, but not every championship changes a player's legacy. Some players are already all-time greats before they win a title. The ring simply adds another accomplishment to an already complete resume. Others experience something very different. A player can win MVP awards, make All-NBA teams, and put up historic numbers for years. But until they win a championship, a question continues to follow them. Can they do it when it matters most? Today, we're looking at players whose legacy received the biggest boost from a single championship. And perhaps no active player better represents that idea than Jalen Brunson. When Jalen Brunson left Dallas for New York in the summer of 2022, many analysts questioned whether the Knicks had overpaid. He was a good player, a winning player, a respected player, but very few people believed he could become the face of the NBA's biggest market. Brunson quickly proved them wrong. Year after year, he elevated his game. His scoring increased, his leadership became impossible to ignore, and the Knicks gradually transformed from a playoff hopeful into a legitimate contender. Yet even as his individual reputation grew, there was still a clear distinction between Brunson and the league's biggest stars. He didn't have a championship. Then came 2026. The Knicks entered the postseason carrying one of the heaviest burdens in sports. The franchise hadn't won a title since 1973. Entire generations of fans had never experienced a championship. Legends had tried and failed. Patrick Ewing came close, Carmelo Anthony brought hope, countless stars arrived with expectations, none delivered the ultimate prize. Brunson did. Throughout the playoff run, he repeatedly delivered in its biggest moments. The pressure of New York never seemed to affect him. If anything, he appeared to thrive on it. When the Knicks finally captured their first championship in 53 years, Brunson's place in franchise history became secure. The title simply didn't make him a champion, it made him an icon. Years from now, fans may forget individual regular season statistics, they won't forget the player who ended 5 decades of waiting. And that's why one championship completely transformed his legacy. If Brunson is the modern example, Dirk Nowitzki might be the gold standard. Today, Dirk is universally respected as one of the greatest players in NBA history. But before 2011, his reputation looked very different. The criticism followed him everywhere. In 2006, the Mavericks reached the NBA Finals and built a 2-0 lead against the Miami Heat. They lost the series, and a year later, Dallas won 67 games and Dirk earned his first MVP award. Then disaster struck. The Mavericks became just the third number 1 seed in NBA history to lose to a number 8 seed. The Golden State Warriors eliminated them in the first round. The criticism became relentless. Dirk was labeled as a playoff underperformer, a regular season superstar who couldn't finish the job. For years, that narrative overshadowed everything he accomplished. Then came 2011. The Mavericks entered the playoffs without much fanfare. Most experts focused on the Lakers, others looked at the Spurs. Many expected LeBron James' Miami Heat super team to win the championship. Instead, Dirk authored one of the greatest postseason runs basketball has ever seen. Dallas swept Kobe Bryant's defending championship Lakers. They defeated the young Oklahoma City Thunder led by Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. Then they faced Miami's Big Three: LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. The Heat were expected to win. Dirk had other plans. Night after night, he delivered clutch baskets. Game after game, he carried Dallas forward. When the Mavericks won the championship, the conversation around Dirk changed forever. The failures disappeared. The redemption became the story. One championship didn't just improve his legacy, it completely rewrote it. By 2021, Giannis Antetokounmpo had already accomplished more than most players ever will. He was a 2-time MVP, a Defensive Player of the Year, one of the most dominant physical forces the NBA had ever seen. Yet critics remained unconvinced. The Bucks kept falling short in the playoffs. Opposing teams built defensive walls to stop Giannis. Every postseason exit created more questions. Could his style work at the highest level? Could he lead a team to a championship? The doubts continued to grow. Then came the 2021 Finals. After suffering a frightening knee injury just weeks later, Giannis returned and produced one of the greatest final performances in league history. The defining moment arrived in Game 6. 50 points, 14 rebounds, 5 blocks, a masterpiece. Milwaukee won its first championship in 50 years. And just like that, the narrative changed. Nobody questioned whether Giannis could win anymore. Instead, people started debating where he ranked among the greatest players ever. One championship turned criticism into admiration. Kevin Garnett didn't need a championship to prove he was great. The basketball world already knew that. After entering the league from high school in 1995, Garnett became one of the most versatile players the sport had ever seen. He could score, pass, rebound, defend, lead. There was nothing he couldn't do. The problem was Minnesota. For years, the Timberwolves struggled to surround him with championship-level talent. Garnett spent much of his prime carrying teams that just simply weren't good enough. His individual brilliance was undeniable. His postseason success was limited. Fairly or unfairly, that became part of his legacy. Everything changed in 2008. The Celtics acquired Garnett and paired him with Paul Pierce and Ray Allen, and the impact was immediate. Boston became the league's best team. Garnett became the emotional heartbeat of the franchise. His intensity defined the Celtics' identity. When Boston won the championship, Garnett finally received something many believed he deserved all along: validation. The ring didn't create his greatness, it confirmed it. Before 2008, Paul Pierce was respected. After 2008, he became a legend. That's the difference one championship can make. For years, Pierce had been one of the NBA's most consistent scorers, but his teams rarely competed for championships. As a result, his accomplishments often went overlooked. The arrival of Garnett and Ray Allen changed everything. The Celtics instantly became contenders. Pierce responded with one of the finest seasons of his career. Then came the finals. Across 6 games against Kobe Bryant and the Lakers, Pierce delivered when Boston needed him most. The Celtics won the championship. Pierce won Finals MVP. That award became one of his defining achievements of his career. Without the title, he might be remembered as a very good player. With it, he became one of the most celebrated figures in Celtics history. When Toronto traded for Kawhi Leonard in 2018, nobody knew how long he would stay. Many believed he would just leave after one season, and that uncertainty made the trade one of the biggest gambles in modern NBA history. The gamble paid off. Leonard produced one of the most dominant playoff runs ever. His Game 7 buzzer beater against Philadelphia remains one of the most iconic moments in league history. The shot bounced 4 times. The entire country held its breath. Then it dropped. Toronto survived. The Raptors eventually defeated Milwaukee and advanced to the finals, and waiting for them was the Golden State Warriors dynasty. Leonard delivered again. Toronto captured the first championship in franchise history, and an entire nation celebrated, and Kawhi's legacy reached a completely different level. One championship transformed him from a superstar into one of the defining playoff performers of his generation. In 2006, Dwayne Wade was already becoming one of the NBA's brightest young stars, but he hadn't yet become Dwayne Wade. That transformation happened in the finals. The Miami Heat fell behind 2-0 against Dallas. The situation looked bleak. Then, Wade exploded. Over the next 4 games, he produced one spectacular performance after another. He attacked relentlessly, he scored at will, and he carried Miami to 4 consecutive victories. The Heat won the championship. Wade won Finals MVP. At just 24 years old, he had already authored one of the greatest finals performances basketball had ever seen. The championship elevated him from rising star to franchise legend, and it established a reputation that followed him throughout his career. The fascinating thing about legacy is that championships aren't always measured equally. Some titles add to a player's story, others become the story. Michael Jordan didn't need his 6th championship to become Michael Jordan. LeBron James didn't need a 4th title to become an all-time great. But players like Jalen Brunson, Dirk Nowitzki, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Kawhi Leonard, and Dwayne Wade experienced something different. Their championships fundamentally changed how history remembers them. Because years from now, fans may forget awards, they may forget statistics, they may even forget regular season accomplishments. But they'll remember who delivered when the pressure was highest. And for some players, one championship is all it takes to change their legacy forever.